Hello everyone, this is Venom Geek Media here, and I thought I'd just do a little short video discussing ship types in Star Trek, essentially my interpretation, because there's a lot of interpretations out there, there's a lot of different ideas out there as to what is what class and what ships are what class, so in this video I'm just going to really clarify this, mostly with the Federation ships. In terms of sizes and examples, but also the alien ships and more unique types of alien ships. So let's just get right into it. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the attack ship, which is a pretty vague idea, but basically it overlaps with birds of prey. So it's basically attack ships / birds of prey. So these are ships that are generally between 50 to 150 meters. 50 to 150 meters. So stuff like Maquis Raiders, the Defiant, Klingon birds of prey, Romulan scout ships, Jem'Hadar fighters, all kind of fall into that that category of attack ships or birds of prey, because they are basically the same. You know, they attack in packs. They're very quick and maneuverable, but I don't think anyone would really call them capital ships. They are very purpose-built combat ships and are pretty small and not good for much else other than kind of operating as a horde, if you like, just kind of swarming enemy targets. So yeah, between 150 and 50 meters. That's attack ships. So going up from that, you get a real big jump to destroyers. Yeah, I'd say destroyers. Destroyers are going to be anywhere, basically up to about about 300 meters. Just looking at the chart, so stuff like the Centaur or the Centaur class, that's 210 meters. The Sabre is 223 meters. The Miranda is 243. They're all destroyers, as I understand it. I mean, one of the problems you have looking at this is difference in time period. Obviously, the Miranda is a very old class of ship. You know, from way back in time. At this point, they're very old, and they definitely weren't destroyers when they were launched. They were much more in the range of sort of, I guess, if Starfleet, if the Constitution's a heavy cruiser, they would have been like light cruisers. But you know, they're comparatively quick compared to a Constitution, a bit leaner, so probably could have been upgraded to destroyers. So yeah, stuff like the Centaur and the Sabre class are what I'd call destroyers. They are actual capital ships, but they are the smallest, and they're quite specialised, and their main thing is just hunting down those little attack ships, as well as supporting larger ships. So then we move into the 300 meter range, sorry. And yeah, that's going to be frigates, really. In terms of that, there's a lot of change, but certainly the New Orleans, the Cheyenne, the Springfield, they're all frigates. The Steamrunner and the Norway, definitely frigates. As they're forming, the kind of the main line of the fleet. They're the most common ships, and they're a little bit of they're the first level of ship that are able to be general use. Destroyers and attack ships are very specialised, whereas a frigate is much more general purpose. So then going from pretty much, I'd say, a frigate probably stops at about, I'd say probably 400 meters is when you then are breaking into the cruiser range. So stuff like the Excelsior, that's a cruiser. And then within that, that's a really big, that's going to be from between 400 meters, pretty much up to 600 meters, it's a fairly large range. The Ambassador, I'd say, is a heavy cruiser, but I don't think it's quite big enough to be a battleship. Now, one thing I have to cover is that Starfleet lie when they name their ships, because they say, oh, it's a heavy explorer. No, it's a battleship. Is what you built is a battleship. It might not be a very good battleship, but it is a battleship. So yeah, once you hit into the 600-meter range, you get battleships. Now, a caveat to this is the battle cruiser, and what battle cruisers actually are. Battle cruisers are of relatively similar length to battleships, but are generally slimmer, more agile. They're much more kind of pared down. So an example of a battle cruiser would probably be something like the Nirexen Valdor class that the Romulans have. That's about 600 meters, but it's very pared down. It's very light. It's very agile. So then you get, so yeah, those are battleships. So the Sovereign, absolutely, that's a battleship. Galaxy class, yeah, it's a battleship if you fit it out properly. So I mean that covers the kind of the standards, the standard sort of ship types. Then you really get onto ideas of dreadnoughts, and where do dreadnoughts start? It really depends on the power level of the alien race. I think the Jem'Hadar battleship is a dreadnought. It's such a juggernaut. It's so tanky. It can soak up so much damage and dish so much out, and it's just kind of it's basically a moving space station in terms of how tough it is. It's not fast. It's just designed to be a big gun platform in space. So it's definitely a dreadnought. I wouldn't say that the Diridex, even though it's massive, it could be dreadnought size. I don't think it is. I think it is much more of a battleship, because actually you look at how much hull volume it actually has, and it's much more in line with a battleship. Another sort of caveat I'd probably say is if we're looking for like alien ships within those ranges, just to give a quick rundown. So they call the Vocha, the Klingon Vocha, an attack cruiser. It sounds very good and very Klingon and very aggressive. And what do they actually mean by that? Well, it doesn't fill the battlecruiser range. It's 481 meters. It's too small to be a battlecruiser. So it's within the cruiser range. But as an attack cruiser, it's still specialised towards being attacking. It's very aggressive and it's very quick and manoeuvrable, particularly compared to other cruisers that we see. You do hear them calling the Galor class, the Cardassian Galor class, a destroyer. Ignore that. The Galor is 481 meters. It's a medium to light cruiser. In terms of its size, you'd probably say it was a medium cruiser, but in terms of how effective it is, it's actually more like a light cruiser, because those things are really weak. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all the ships I wanted to cover, just giving examples of ship types. The Intrepid, that's obviously a frigate. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say, really. I say I was going to talk about alien classifications, and I just briefly will touch on it. So the Warbird, I explained that in my D-Diridex documentary, so if you haven't watched it, go watch it. I'll link stuff at the end. The other alien ship type, which is of course very famous, is the Bird of Prey. I briefly mentioned it under attack ships, but I think they do deserve their own identity. They are quite unique, and actually anything that's an attack ship is also kind of known informally as a bird of prey, like the Defiant. It's basically a bird of prey, very similar. But the question that arises, really, you have the Klingon bird of prey and you have the Romulan bird of prey. So who came up with the idea? I'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.